All
Were
set.
they able to hear me though?
Who's
The
that?
attendees?
No attendees were in. Now they're joining now.
Okay. So I have to read this over.
You do.
Sorry. We'll figure this out and then it'll be time to go. So I'm going to call the meeting of the Personnel Subcommittee, Gloucester Teachers Association Negotiating Team to order. Today is Tuesday, September 14, 2021. The time is 4:07 PM. The negotiating team is meeting at the Gloucester High School Library in person, and we are meeting virtually with the Gloucester Teachers Association. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, any votes taken by the Gloucester Teachers Association negotiating team during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. I'm not going to give instructions on taking public comment because we will not be accepting any public comment today. This is a negotiation session with the Gloucester Teachers Association between the parties. So I think we are ready to begin. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for coming.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I think we're good now. Can everyone hear us? Great, and we can hear you.
Great.
Okay. You want me to start?
No,
Yeah, let's-
Greg's got to send the proposal.
Oh, okay. We're sending over our proposal to you right now.
Should we do introduction?
I know, can we have some introductions? Because I'm seeing a face I don't recognize.
Certainly. Thanks so much for bringing that up, Melissa. MTA has had some movement with their field reps, and so James has been relocated to part of the state that's actually a little bit more convenient towards where he and his family reside. And so Anthony Paralisi has been assigned to Gloucester. Anthony, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, Anthony Paralisi. I'm a former teacher, 16 years over in Haverhill, and just started on staff here with the MTA recently, and happy to be meeting you all and working with you all.
Hi, Anthony.
Anthony, should we
Nice to meet you. You want us to introduce ourselves?
introduce ourselves as well?
That'd be wonderful if you could do that, please. Thanks so much.
I'm Naomi Stoneberg, Labor Council.
Someone here has a microphone on. You shouldn't.
I'm Jonathan Pope. I'm the chair of the school committee.
You, Ben.
Greg Pagnini, also Labor Council.
Hi, Ben Lummis, I'm the superintendent.
Hi, Gary Frisch, I'm the CFO.
Hi, I'm Melissa Prince from the school committee.
Kathy Clancy, School Committee.
Talina Immel, Principal, West Parish.
And that's our group.
That's it.
Great to meet you all.
That's all of us.
I wonder if you wanted to rename Naomi. Naomi is on
Of course.
as Jonathan Pope.
I was using Jonathan's login.
Sure, you're much too
I can-
pretty to be Jonathan Pope.
I can take care of that.
Mm,
I agree.
I got it.
And no offense to you, sir.
Okay, so how are we going to begin? Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to see you all.
So, yeah, Rachel and Cynthia, I just sent to you a slideshow that we're gonna walk through in part. There's gonna be different people presenting different parts. So you should have the slideshow though, just as a PDF in your inboxes any second. I just hit send a moment ago, so however long it might take to get there.
So your proposals are in the form of a slideshow?
Correct. We're gonna,
It's a PDF.
a PDF that we're just gonna go through a few different things before we get to our proposal. And then how do I then share this? Oh, no, they have it. How do I share this?
So you're on Zoom, or Zoom.
Okay, we're going to put that up on the screen.
That's right.
I'll take it. Maria, can you allow Greg to share?
Sure, hold on one second.
Thank you.
All set.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay,
So I think we're gonna start with Jonathan just introducing and going through the first few slides.
okay, thank you very much. As I said before, Jonathan Pope, I'm the chairman of the school committee. I've been on the school committee for 20 years. I've only been on the negotiating team for the last 2 years, and that's because my wife was a teacher for those first 18 years. So this proposal that we're going to put forward tonight starts off with our principles and the goals that we're trying to achieve with our compensation proposal. And I believe we're in agreement probably on what the goals are. We'll have a lot to talk about how we get there, I'm sure. So our two main goals is to attract entry-level teachers with adequate compensation and also to compensate and retain our most veteran teachers. So you will see as we move forward that our approach to coming up with a compensation package is a little bit different than it has been in the past of just giving a COLA across the board. And we've tried to target both the senior teachers as well as the entry-level people with a little bit additional compensation. The city and the schools, of course, we are subject to what our funding sources are. And by and large, our major funding source is from the city of Gloucester. And we'll see a slide a little bit later on that'll show you historically the increases that we've gotten over the last 6 years or so. And we unfortunately have to live within those parameters. Or if we spend more money than in one area, then we have to cut in another area beyond the percentage that we get increased by the city. As you know, Chapter 70 is a major funding source for schools within the state, but the reality is Chapter 70 goes to the city, not to the schools. And consequently, these percentages include any increases that the state has put into Chapter 70, because the money goes through the city. So we don't see if Chapter 70 goes up a particular amount. And also, it's worth noting that Gloucester is at the very bottom of the percentage that Chapter 70 pays towards the foundation budget. We get the least amount. We've spent a lot of time complaining about that over the years, but the reality is it helped us a lot last year because we were not dependent on state aid. So the other thing that we're trying to achieve is we need our staff to be more flexible and trained in different areas as our task, and you all know it very well, is changing. And we have somewhere around 26.5% of our students are on IEPs, and our English language learners are increasing dramatically over the last couple of years. So we are going to put forth a proposal that will incentivize people becoming dual certified. And we would like to, make that a priority as we go forward. So as I mentioned before, we are locked in to the budget that we are granted by the city. And this going back to 2016, you can see the percentage increase that we have gotten each year. And more or less it runs just north of 2.5%, which is coincidentally what the Proposition 2.5 is about. And It's what the city is allowed to increase the property taxes every year. So those things go together and sort of make sense. But these are the percentages that we, that we get as an increase. The reality is if we're spending 5 or 6% increase in one area of our budget, that means that we have to hold another area of the budget, below the 2.5%. And health insurance, cost of health insurance is a very good example of that. When it goes up 5 and 6, 7%, then we have to not increase other things quite as much. Okay.
We thought it would be helpful if we provided a comparison of a historical analysis of what increases have been that we've had to support with the budget. So starting with fiscal 19, bargaining unit members received a minimum of 2.5 to 8.9%. And the next slide. And the increases range from 1,805 to 7,112. For fiscal 20, members received a minimum of 2% and a maximum of 8.36%. And the salary increases ranged from 1,340 to 6,847. And in fiscal 21, the percentage increases ranged from 2.25% to 8.63%. And the increases were 1,537 to 7,206. So that gives a historical analysis of what increases were. And then what we did was we looked at somebody on Masters 2 and where they would go over a 2-year period. And you see that their increase over 2 years would be 6,580 or 14.05%. Taking someone at Masters 11, their increase would be 10,537 or 14.97%. Taking someone at Masters 6013, the total increase over 2 years would be 3,735 or 4.30% increase.
So that's a historical perspective. And now what we did was took or laid out over the next couple of slides what your proposal looks like on the same terms, meaning with the COLA and the salary increases. So if you look at the percentages here, this is obviously a fairly significant increase from what we've seen historically, ranging all the way up to 10.09%. And that the equivalent is just north of $8,614, or that's probably the highest amount in the increase that you get over that year. And this is the salary schedule as well. This slide breaks out the total cost of the GTA's proposal. So just the salary increase over FY21 is $1,880,000, or just north of that figure, which represents an 8.06 increase on the salary for the unit. If you factor in longevity, stipends, the hourly rates, it kicks that number up to just over $2 million, or an increase in compensation of 8.87%. We took essentially the same exemplars that Naomi had mentioned and projected them out over the GTA's proposal for the next 3 years. And you'll see that you have in the first column a $10,716 increase, which comes out to a 22.89% increase over those 3 fiscal years. And that's for, yeah, I'm sorry, and that's for the master steps.
This is what ours was.
No, this is
No, this is
the next 3 years.
It's the next 3 years.
So the first year, the first year, 22.
Yes, I'm sorry. So projected over, right, using the first year. So thank you. And if you look at the master steps 11 through 14, using the same progression of steps, you have a $16,299 increase, which represents a 23.15% increase. So if you just compare those to the percentages that we looked at in the prior slides, looking at the same cells, it's a pretty significant increase, both monetarily and percentage-wise. And that's the same for, as a matter of a ratio, the masters plus 60 from steps 13 to 14. It's a $10,782 increase, which represents a 12.4% increase over that step. So the next 3 slides represent the proposal from the committee for FY22, which is broken out by percentage increase across the grid in this slide. The next slide is the monetary, the dollar value amount across the grid. And then finally, just as with the prior way that it was broken out, we've done the salary schedule as well. And then I think, Jonathan, you're going to talk
Okay.
about the DART comparison.
I don't know.
No.
Okay, so one of the things that you brought up is comparative districts. And we had a discussion at our last meeting about what the comparative districts are. So we've used 2 different groups of comparable schools. One is the DART districts, which is DESE's formula that they have in place that takes into a number of factors, income, student population, percentage of special needs, et cetera, and comes up with comparative districts for Gloucester to be put in with as far as, when they compare, among other things, test scores as well as compensation and that sort of thing. The other is our local districts. So we took the most immediate school districts in the area and compared it to them. So this is the starting salary for, is this the
Maximum.
This is
the lowest step? Master's minimum. So this is starting salary for a teacher coming in, a first-year teacher coming in with a master's degree. And as you can see in the DART districts, we're number 2. And in the local districts, we're number 3 for starting salary with this new proposal.
Go to the next slide.
Okay, is this next one?
Yeah.
Okay. And in the top of the master's column, on the DART districts, we're number 6, right in the middle. And with the local comparisons, we're number 6 also. So masters plus 30 on the DART districts at the with the minimum years, Gloucester is number 2, and with the local districts, we're number 3. And with the maximum and masters plus 30, Gloucester with the DART districts is number 3. And with the local comparisons we're number 5. And the masters plus 60 with the DART districts, we're number 3. And with the local districts, we're number 4. And at the maximums, masters plus 60, the DART districts were number 4, and with the local districts were number 6. I would just point out that that the group in the middle is very close together. That the outliers are at the top and the bottom, but the 4 in the middle are quite close together.
Could I ask a question? You included the regularly scheduled step increases that are clearly in the contract and provided for. You included those in our raises as well? Kind of
That's correct.
fluff
We
them
have
up a
to-
little, or?
Rachel, we have to budget for them and pay them, and the people are getting those percentage increases in those dollars amounts. So yes, we have.
But that's already provided for. You make it sound in the slideshow like this is something new and this percentage we're getting is gigantic. And this is an increase that staff is expected and used to get because it's been provided for in the contract. I mean, I understand that the city needs to budget and prepare for that, but we're not going to balance the budget on the backs of the teachers in the district for sure. I'm just confused as to how that becomes part of your increase and part of your percentage increases. I don't think that's fair.
Also, it doesn't take into consideration teachers who have left the district and new teachers are starting at the bottom of the pay scale. We know that step increases are built into the salaries for teachers because we typically make a low salary for professionals. To include step salaries in raises is a publicity stunt, and that's wrong. We have had 2% raises, 2 and maybe 2.5 1 year, but we are not getting 7 to 9 to 14% raises on a yearly basis, just to make that very clear to the public who is watching right now.
Well, people do get that money. You wouldn't dispute that they do receive those increases.
These are
Over the course of the
increases based
contract.
on, these are increases based on increased experience and increased grad credits that people have had to pay for, increased master's degrees that people have had to pay for. This is built in and it should be budgeted already. This isn't something that you have to look at every year. And again, we have teachers leaving the district at the high level and entering the district. So you don't account for that either. It's not like the whole district has had a 14% raise. This is just really very misconstrued data.
I think one of the things that you have talked about in terms of compensation is, which we share, certainly share the same goal of attracting and retaining. And so in terms of the percentages, that's for illustrative purposes. But I think the key message is that those schedules of DART districts and area districts in terms of the end salary proposal is really where we were trying to make sure we were putting forth a proposal that compared and compensated within that particular request and requirement for both of us to be competitive for great teachers and to make sure compensation is in line and on the higher end of those particular communities, because that that basically says we're rewarding, we're compensating you in line with the way other districts are compensating as well, and we're trying to be on the higher end of those. So that's really kind of the big takeaway, is kind of the salary relative to other other districts that we're looking at.
And I can say as a school committee member too, to agree with Kathy, I would never put something forward to try to mislead. It was more the outcome and how we compared. Like Kathy said, that's what we were getting at. I would never want the public to believe that we're giving 14% increases, because that would give us some feedback too from the taxpayers. So this wasn't meant to mislead or try to state something that is different other than what it is. And it was just the total increase per year. But the outcome is we were trying to get to the comparables so that we know we're in a good position, not only with our DAC communities, but with surrounding communities that obviously have a better revenue system or a budget system than Gloucester does. So when we're comparing to Rockport and Manchester, Essex, I mean, we land pretty well. And that's the messaging we were trying to get through.
I appreciate the explanation, but that's not how you folks presented it.
I have a question. I'm not sure if I missed it in one of the slides, but you mentioned that in your proposed salary schedule, there's an even percentage applied across the grid and an even dollar amount across the grid. What were those? What exactly is the proposal?
Gary, you want to explain %?
Yeah, on our proposal. Do you want me to bring up would it help?
Yeah, we need the slide up.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll just
we
find
saw,
out the slide.
we saw the scale.
So we don't have it in a summary slide.
Right.
So we don't have a summary slide for
some, summarize it. We can get that to them, or we can take a break and get.
Can none of you articulate, like we're proposing 2% across the plus $100 and I'm just wondering, like, too long don't read. What exactly is the committee's proposal?
The slide just so that you can see it instead of us explaining it. We just have to do a little bit to get it to you because it's not part of this presentation. So maybe we take a quick break and get that to you, and then we can talk. Is that okay?
We can caucus if you like, sure.
Great, thank you so much. It shouldn't be long.
Text me, Melissa, when you're ready.
Okay, perfect, Rachel.
So we have to.
Leave this meeting.
Right, we'll go back to our pre-meeting caucus room.
Where you staying here, right, Maria, and we'll all leave? Yes,
I think you need to stay, Ben, because you're,
I'm just the co-host.
okay,
I can log back in. I'll log back in afterward.
all right.
So am I leaving?
You're leaving.
For some reason, I can't bring up the presentation. I get to about the fourth slide and it says couldn't preview this.
Greg will show it.
Here, I can
Okay.
show it in the Zoom once I get in,
All right.
and then you can just go off of that.
Okay.
Maria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. That means that the technology is still working.
If we get out back by 8,
Maria, can you
I
make
have to leave
me a
at 6,
co-host
and
and allow
Kathy
Greg
does
to
too.
share, please?
I know.
I'm
Just-
sorry, say that again, Ben.
Could you make me a co-host and allow Greg to share?
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
All set.
We're ready to go. You want to present that? Jonathan, you want?
Yep, I can do it.
All right, Jonathan, I'm gonna bring it up.
It's asking
Okay.
who received it first.
Okay, have you received the, this document, this slide?
Can anyone hear us?
You can hear us. Rachel and Cynthia, I just sent to you this slide.
I don't think they can hear us.
We can hear you.
Oh,
Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you. I'm not, because you've shared the screen, I can't see if the whole team has returned yet. That's all.
Okay.
Okay,
No, I think we're all back.
yeah.
Thank you, Anthony.
Okay, let me just, first of all, say that a couple of things didn't get said. So the principle that we stated at the beginning of trying to make the top step greater and the lower step greater is where we agree. So we've agreed in principle to continually add a step to the top and to eliminate a step on the bottom, and which was part of your proposal. And this is our opening proposal. But to do that, we can only put, and the reason that we showed all of those increases that are the normal agreed upon step increases was to point that out. So what we're saying is that to those steps, we're going to propose a 1% COLA increase to the people that are already getting, an increase. And we're going to take the delta that we're saving there by not giving everybody the same COLA across the board. And we are putting that by eliminating bottom steps and adding top steps. So in that, we agree in principle, and this is our initial proposal, just as yours was an initial proposal. And now we get to negotiate. So, so that overall, as you'll see on that second column, that we're going to eliminate for this year, the bachelor's step 13, or we're going to add a bachelor's step 13 and add a master's step 14. We're going to eliminate the bachelor's step 4 and the master's step 3. Next year, we're going to eliminate the bachelor's step 5 and the master's step 4. And then 24, the same thing. Okay, so that's in principle exactly what you had proposed. The numbers are different, and we get to talk about that in perpetuity probably. But we're agreeing with you on that. So that's what got lost. But overall, the percent increase across the board is 1%. It's higher at the top. And for example, by eliminating the bottom step, it's about a $2,500 or $3,000 increase for new teachers.
Which is about, it's ranges from 5%, depending upon the column, it ranges from 5% to 5.6% higher than what someone would come in at, this coming year versus what they came in at this year.
So
the new step you're proposing in the second column is step 13 bachelor's, which is 0.5% higher than the current step 12, 0.5%.
it's one, no. Oh, the top step?
Yeah, in that second
Step
column,
13.
adding a
It's
step to
1.5. The percentages are over on the far right. But it's 1.5 because they would get the COLA plus the additional 0.5%.
right, but when you draw up the new salary schedule, step 12 is here and step 13 would be 0.5%. And then you'd apply a 1% COLA to the whole schedule.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, and so on with all the others in that same column.
Correct.
Step is 0.5% below. So
That's
So
our initial proposal.
Our proposal was to add a top step with 4% between the new step and the one preceding, so. Okay.
We
Just wanna make
understand.
sure we're talking about the same part of these two proposals.
Anthony, just to clarify, I don't think you guys propose adding a top step in FY '23 and FY '24. Is that right? You only proposed adding a step on FY '22, I think. Is that-
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Everyone hear that? The
Yeah, that's
PTA
right.
proposed just adding one step in the first year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to help me visualize and understand this better, is there a slide that shows, I happen to be at master's plus 60. Was my 29th year, so I've been at step 13 for about 16 years now. So super excited at the prospect of moving up a step because I haven't done that, like I said, in about 16 years. Is there a slide that shows what my salary will look like, last year and what it'll look like next year? And then if you could go back to that last slide, is that the per diem rate for teachers goes from $30 to $35? So not
Yes.
just for extra duties, but just for anything that is done additionally. That's
Correct.
It's an extra duty.
Yeah,
No, it's extra duty.
extra
Yeah,
duty.
yeah, yeah.
It's currently our per diem is 30. And
Right.
if you're holding a class, if you're teaching a class, it's 35. Are you saying that it's going to be our normal hourly will be 35, in which case, if you're holding a class or teaching a class, it would go to 40?
Can we get back to you that, Cynthia, that's a good question. We'll get back to you on that.
Rachel, I can bring up the slide that I think you were looking for first, which has the percentages. Hold on one sec.
That's the 60.
Yeah, I just love to see it in dollar amounts so that I don't.
Dollar
scroll.
amount.
Oh, you want it in dollar amounts? Okay, hold on one second. What's the next one? So this is the dollar amounts. And then if you recall, the slide prior to this is the percentages.
So then it looks like I would be in the Masters plus 60 column. I jump down to the 13, I would move to step 14. So that 2%, that 2.12% raise, 1% of that is the COLA that you are proposing. So my step increase is a 1.12%. Is that how I should be understanding this?
Well, there's a carryover from the previous year. What was it, 550?
550.
Yeah.
And it's a half a step, 0.5% for step 14. So it's 1% COLA, a 0.5% for the additional step, and then $550, which is equivalent to a little bit more than the 0.5%, equals the 2.12%.
So break down the 7.95% in the step 12 to 13.
So here,
That's
this
just
dollar amount.
COLA of 1% and the previous step. So that previous step would have been 6.95. And the 1% COLA brings you to 7.95.
So their increase, so I'm just having a really hard time understanding it, right? Because the step increase is something that we expect. It just, it confuses me when you include that step increase in with this, right? Because it looks like that's the raise and it's really not. The raise is only that 1% COLA.
Can I clarify, Rachel? Can you hear me?
Of course I can.
Okay, the bottom steps and the top steps are getting more. The
Yeah.
middle steps are getting the step plus 1%.
Okay. Okay.
The bottom steps, I mean, some are going away. So a person on the bottom step would move up. And then that step would disappear so that the new person hired comes in on the new bottom step.
Right.
Right, so again, the person who is working this year is already planning for the step raise, for the step increase, and we're negotiating for a raise on top of what the district is already committed to. So the bottom steps are getting more money. I mean, yes, if we go with your proposal and take a bottom step up every year, the bottom step will improve. But characterizing it as a raise for an individual who's already working here is just not accurate.
Oh, wait, yeah, they will, because they will go up a step.
No, but
Step
the
raises,
last-
step raises aren't raises, step increases aren't raises though. They're,
No, I'm saying by eliminating the steps, if we agree to that, the bottom steps.
But the steps you're adding are at a 0.5% increase. The ones that you are eliminating are at almost a 5% increase.
We will have to discuss with you, which we did maybe 10 years ago, when you eliminate a step, what happens to the existing people? They don't go double steps. I mean, we have to sit down and talk about each cell and what happens. Which we
What
can
I'm
do.
saying is when you increase a step at the top, you're only increasing it 0.5%.
That's
Yet
our
you're
proposal,
eliminating,
Cynthia.
yet you're eliminating a step at the bottom, which had an increase between steps at almost 5%. So if this trend continues, if we continue to delete steps at the bottom and add steps at the top at the rate of 0.5%, we're going to have very small percentage increase between our steps.
We can talk about that.
Well, it depends on the combination of the step and the COLA. Because each year people earn both. And so what this is trying to get at here on the top step is have a comparable increase to what's happened in prior years. And make it just have, instead of a straight COLA, have it the combination. But the percentage, we're trying to get nearer to what's been happening in the past with the total percentage. Because as you know, the top step has always just been the COLA.
And Cynthia, to your point, over time, if that was the pattern and it was stuck to, then we would clearly start falling behind on a competitive scale, of which, what we're trying to do right now is making sure at each of the key points on the salary schedule, we're competitive with the DART districts and the local districts. So, as time goes, it would continue to be reevaluated. Are we not competitive? The other piece on the top step, by adding the top step, I mean, that's almost half of our teacher, our number of teachers. So, so that's why we were, just looking at that as a way to give an increase that has not historically been added to the COLA by adding that step.
But at the same time, you're also arguing, you're trying to make that increase comparable to the past. And we've agreed that in the past, those people at the top step haven't been getting what they deserve. Make up ground, then, keeping the top step while including, the new step, as only 0.5%, still only results in 1.5 to 2.12% for those top
But
steps.
our salary schedules are competitive with the DART districts and the other districts in the
Well,
region.
your
So,
comparison to Manchester is a $12,000 difference.
yeah, we can't really.
We
compete with
understand that.
Manchester.
But you
Have you been to
but you
Manchester?
can't argue both sides at the same time is my point. You can't say, look at us, we're close to the top, but also we can't make up the $12,000 difference that everybody is staring at.
We've traditionally
Not
used.
both we're doing so
DART
great and we're so
districts.
far
Where are
away.
we in our DART districts, Kathy?
Second.
With second,
in
if you
the-
look at our DART districts, though, and just take Manchester off the table, because they're a wealthier community and they're not in our DART. We did that for an example to show you what we're surrounded by, but we don't have that capacity in Gloucester like Manchester does. So look at it in a DART community.
Okay, so
And where are
at the
we
DART
at?
comparison, you're number 6 at the master's maximum, and you're number 4 at the master's plus 60 max. That's not close to the top. Right.
So
By your own presentation, your DART comparison, number 6 place at master's maximum. Only 3rd place is your best showing at the maximum plus 30. At
right, so
maximum, master's plus 60.
I'm a little
Fourth
disappointed
place.
that you're saying only third. Because it's better than 7, it's better than 8, it's better than 10.
Are we striving, but are we striving for mediocrity? I mean, are we aiming for the middle in Gloucester, or we're trying to attract and retain the best qualified applicants?
We're
Because
trying to keep pace.
I'm hearing 2 different things coming from the other side of the table, that we want to attract and retain people, but we also don't have any money to make the contract attractive.
Are you familiar, Anthony, are you familiar with the city of Gloucester and how we're 90% residential, 10% commercial? What our tax base is and what our ability is? for
I'd
our
also like
budget?
to add, add what our cost of living is. And when you compare us to the DART districts, that's a huge difference. I appreciate the comparison to the local districts because that's more about, we have similar cost of living. We don't have the same cost of living as Clinton and Rockland, and we don't. So I mean, you have to take that into consideration too. DART districts are subjective. You chose those.
No, we
So-
didn't just DART.
Desi selects
We
the
don't
DART
choose DART.
districts.
There are many DART districts. So those are the ones that you chose from.
Those
So-
DOT districts are all of our DOT districts chosen by DESI. We didn't pick and choose. Those were chosen by DESI based on their calculations of how DOT communities should be compared. We did not pick and choose. It's the locals that we picked and choose.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
might all be contiguous.
Right.
I mean, that-
But those are the ones that were selected. The DOT ones, we didn't have any say on that. I think.
So,
TBD
no,
was-
even, we understand, and DESI chooses those districts for, its own reasons, and we know school committees do, sometimes it works out for us to use them, sometimes it works out for the school committee to use them.
So,
Can we
but,
give
but
some
it's-
examples?
We're just suggesting if you're going to use the DART districts, your own metric doesn't hold up.
So going forward, folks, I just want our path and comparisons, and whether that's job descriptions or whether that's, staffing, whether that's, financials, not just really negotiation, I'm gonna move past negotiations. We're gonna consistently find comparisons on 2 groups of schools. And those are the 2 groups you see in front of you, okay? Because rather than picking and choosing random districts because they serve, our ends or other ends, you're gonna see from us and other folks, that could be around scores, okay? That could be around achievement, that could be around hiring, that could be around retention, okay? So it's not just related to employment, because we're gonna both use dark comparisons and that group of geographic, our neighbors, because they're our neighbors. They're not some of our neighbors, okay? They're, our closest neighbors, right? And we feel that those two lists, are appropriate comparison for very different reasons, all right? I don't think our goal is to be the top of every list, okay? Especially when you're talking about communities which have much more financial means than Gloucester. We certainly don't want to be anywhere near we just certainly don't want to be at the bottom of the list on geographic comparisons. But it's probably reasonable that we're not at the very top of our geographic comparisons.
And I just wanted to bring something up too. The health insurance that comes out of Gloucester, because you talk about cost of living. Anthony, I don't know how familiar you are with our PEC agreement, but Gloucester pays more, we're in GIC, and Gloucester and this district pays more for the employees' insurance, which lessens the employees' payment. So there's a little bit of a benefit in there when we're talking about cost of living. A lot of communities do 25% for the employee. We're at, I think, 15 in some plans and 20 in the highest, or
Is the school
26 in the
committee,
highest.
is the school committee proposing a change to that? I mean, that's already negotiated. So-
That's already negotiated, but what I'm saying is if we're gonna talk about cost of living, one of the benefits to working in Gloucester is the employee's health insurance is a lower rate. than
Right, but in the
probably
GIC, the out-of-pocket costs, eat that up almost, exclusively. In Haverhill's a GIC where I was, when I was an employee, and trust me, I'm well versed in the GIC and the out-of-pocket expenses. So, the biggest benefit to that is for the municipality and, your unilateral right to impose healthcare changes, is, a sore spot for us for sure, because we really don't have to negotiate over health insurance as we used to.
You don't have what? I didn't hear you.
Bringing up that the district has, a better than others split really doesn't change the fact that we're already living under those conditions. The members are already working under these parameters. And, we're asking for
But I'm just saying, bringing it up to be the comparison, because it's not like that in Rockport, it's not like that in Manchester.
Hamilton Wenham is 60-40.
Hamilton, Wenham, 60-40, so there is some benefits in Gloucester too that impact the budget.
And it's also part of the total compensation package, things like our number of work days and our number of sick days and.
Of course, and if you were
split it up,
proposing
it's
to
all
increase the
part of
employee
picture.
split, and if you were proposing to increase the employee split, then we would be asking for more than the 3%, that we did put on the table. So it definitely is all related, but, cost of living, GIC costs go up every single year, out-of-pocket costs go up every single year. Whether it's 90-10 or 60-40, those costs are, shifted out of pocket to the out-of-pocket.
But they go up for us too, because we're paying a higher percent, so let's not,
And
use
as-
that impacts our budget, which impacts our ability to negotiate percentages and a salary increase, so it's part of the picture is all I'm
Right, but
saying.
if your goals are to increase your attractability and retain people who are already here, then the current, the way things are clearly is insufficient. We share that same goal. That's how you started your presentation. And, it's clear to the GTA that this proposal doesn't quite fit the bill. And, it's using the veneer of, oh, you guys are so well paid. You guys already make all this money. Look at the step raises you're going to get. You even included in one of your charts hourly work, that's overtime that people get paid on top of that to make.
Anthony, I'm sorry.
I don't think
Anthony,
so.
Anthony,
I don't think so.
GTA made a proposal, GTA made a proposal to make the hourly rate go from 30 to 45 for additional, and so our counter to that was to go from 30 to $35 an hour. That's in direct response to your
I think it
proposal.
was the cost of your proposal, Anthony.
That's right, Anthony. I think you're referring to the slide that
Slide
detailed
21.
the total cost of the GTA's proposal, right? Which included that hourly rate. And that was the figure that went over $2 million. I can go back to it.
It was number 21.
Thank you. So this is, I think, the one that you're referring to. So this was from the GTA's initial proposal. Right, so not something that we factored in.
Okay, well, I apologize for my confusion because you did, with everything, including the step raises. I misread it, apparently.
Could we talk a minute about the concept of creating a separate fund to help people get dual certified? Have you thought about that?
I'd like to continue to talk about the financial proposal because I think a certain number of things need to be said. We had asked for a 333. You came back with a 111. After the 2 years.
You asked for 4% also, wasn't a strict 3.
111, that's what it says, that's why. I know, I know.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting us. You came back with a 111. With the 2 years that we've just experienced and other districts giving teachers bonuses, you have the audacity to come back with a 111. Not only that, I'm at a loss for words. You've got ESSER funds coming into the city. I mean,
It's sustainability, though. I understand what you're saying, but the ESLA money isn't coming forever. So as you know, we don't take grants and put them into positions. We put them into one time.
I understand that,
purchases.
but you can budget for that in coming years.
How do we budget for that, Cynthia? And I'm not being sarcastic, I want to learn. So from someone like me that's been doing this for 14 years, from someone that's on the top step at my job for 20 years, I can relate to these conversations in many ways. But if we take grant money and we put it into salary and that money goes away in a couple of years, where is the money coming from afterwards for that sustainability? Are we gonna go back and negotiate zeros like we had 2 years ago? No, we don't want to do that.
No, but the
So,
union is committed
It's not that we don't
to.
appreciate it, and it's not that we don't want to spend that money on you, but the reality is we have to have a sustainable budget going forward.
And
It
the
also
union
has
has
to-
made it clear that they would work with you to reach out to the community to explain the need. The fact is your ESSER funds do increase your budget significantly over the next 3 years, meaning you've got 3 years to make the pitch. And it's only about 2 or 3 years after the end of ESSER funding, after that, where you would not be able to sustain the gap with SOA money. So when the ESSER goes away for a year or two, that's a problem we absolutely have to solve. But
Right, so we have in Gloucester, we have a new school being built, we have a water treatment plant coming that's gonna be a huge impact to the taxes in Gloucester, which people are freaking out about right now. And now you wanna add, how do we sustain the budget after 3 years? All those things are gonna be coming together at the same time. So how do we
budgets
tell
are hard, but
the
they're also
taxpayer?
about values. And if we value education and if we want to attract and retain the best possible educators to Gloucester Public Schools, then that's a conversation we need to have. And we've got lots of time to do it. And the union is committed to having that conversation. It's for the.
We've been doing that for years. That's not anything new. We've been promoting good teaching for years. But the reality in Gloucester, the way this community functions, this is where we're at.
Melissa,
So
we could sit here and talk city budget up and down and raise all the concerns of people all over the paper and all in all the meetings raised, such as the fact that the school that is being built is one of the most expensive in the state, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go into that.
I
You
don't
gave
know
us
that
a
that's the
one-
case.
You gave
Let her
us,
finish.
you gave us the 111 after the 2 years that we just had. You're
It's not
adding.
111.
And you gave us a $2 million proposal, so we have to figure out a way to end up in the middle or somewhere.
Right.
Okay?
Could we
I
stop
don't-
interrupting
I don't-
Cynthia, please?
I don't interrupt you. I would really appreciate enough respect to not interrupt me anymore. Thank you. You've also, in your budget, added positions. So I'm wondering, how can you justify adding positions and after 2 years of COVID and all that we've done for you and all the accolades you've given us, you give us a 111. I mean, this isn't going to ratify, first of all. And
I
I'm
have to take a
personally,
call. I'm sorry.
I'm personally insulted.
So we've added positions in order to support EL learners, support students who are coming off 2 difficult years and making sure they get intervention support and additional English and math support. We've added positions to make sure that students have the mental health support and behavioral support. And that's where we've added positions. Some of those positions are from the operating budget, that's yes, and some of those positions are from ESSER. And will continue to be from ESSER. And those are positions that are short-term. The 3rd year of this budget is when ESSER 3 ends. And we don't want to create a cliff that would then require us to lay off people and end all those positions. Some of those positions will end, they'll have to end because we don't have that money. But we don't want to exacerbate that in any way, shape, or form. So you are right, we're adding positions and they're very clearly defined about supporting our most vulnerable learners. And what we're hoping to do is continue to make reasonable increases across the board like Gloucester has in the past, continue to be competitive, and continue to add positions where possible and bring them off of ESSER so that we can sustain them long-term for our most vulnerable students. That's a combination of factors which aren't easy to figure out, but we do want to work with you. We understand there's a gap between the school committee's initial proposal and your initial proposal. That's common, okay? And it warrants us working forward from here to figure out where there's common ground and where we can come to agreement.
I think at this time, we probably should take a caucus.
Nevertheless, I think also if any one of us left the table, we'd be called out on it.
Cynthia, I had to take an important call. That's why I left the table.
And I had to use the ladies'
Okay.
room that I've been waiting for an hour to do, so.
Maybe we should have caucused sooner then. We need to maintain some professionalism.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Do you wanna, at a certain time you're at, you wanna ask for, or how do you wanna do it, Rachel?
Just know that we have a hard stop at 6.
Do we want a 15-minute caucus?
Let's say 15 minutes, and if we need more, we'll
Right, and I can text Melissa.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm on here for you anyway.
Recording in progress. What's going on here?
I'm not getting it.
I'm not
Yeah.
either.
I keep
I had
losing,
to
I'm not,
start over.
I keep losing my internet.
You don't have to go back in. Well,
No, I'm taking, I'm here.
just getting everyone back in the room, so to speak, in the virtual room.
I'm not getting in, but I can receive them.
All right, Rachel, are we all back?
Just doing a quick little head count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes,
Rachel, can you hear us?
yes, I can. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so Matthew, I think you were going to speak.
Yeah, first of all, thank you all for taking some time out to negotiate. And when I was reading through these proposals, I went back to one of the things that one of my mentors in college said. I had the privilege to, when I was studying, to work with a rabbi. And I got into a really big argument with one day about budgets. And I said, it's just numbers, right? It's just, you have this much, you can't spend more. He goes, no. I was like, what do you mean no? And he said, budgets aren't just numbers. They're moral documents where you put your morality and what you believe and what you think that money should go to, right? And I argued with him back and forth, but it stuck with me. And I've come around on my thinking on that. So what sticks out to me is that we're making a moral distinction here, that a 1.5 raise, which is not going to help the cost of living, especially for younger teachers like me, is what we're sticking our moral compass to. And I'm saddened by that, to be honest. As we go forth with these negotiations, I hope we can reconsider that, but that's really been sticking out to me.
Can we respond? So thank you for that, Matthew. So I think you can agree that we agree in principle on where we're going with this contract and that there is a lot of common ground between us. You presented a proposal to us, we proposed back. Now it's time to do the work and talk. This isn't the end of the conversation. This is the beginning of the conversation. And this is where we can have a good dialogue on what's important to you, what's important to us, and what the reality is of our budget. So this isn't the end, this is the beginning, and we look forward to that process like we do every year. So I hope no one has hard feelings walking away from this meeting. We don't, I would hope you wouldn't, and know that next time we meet, we're gonna have more dialogue and get to where we need to be. We appreciate our teachers. Last year was a tough year. We are proud of who we are as a district as a whole, and you made that happen. So we have common ground. There's mutual respect, and we will get through this process like we always do. It wasn't a shame. The 1% isn't 1%, and it's not going to end up 1%, but it's not going to be 3 or 4% because we know that doesn't work in Gloucester, and it's not working in other communities. So let's find the common ground where we can agree for increases and have the dialogue and talk about it.
Ruth?
So we have to have some dates.
Oh, Ruth had her hand up.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry.
Melissa is bringing up dates. That's what I was gonna say, because we agree that we have to keep having these conversations, but if we can
Absolutely.
as quickly as possible, because I know that our members are already a little anxious that they already wanted their raise. So if we could get a date that's sooner than later and really try to move forward quickly, I think that would help our members a lot.
Right, especially since our contract expired the end of August and we did lose all of July. So what dates do you folks have?
I just want to put out there too, we're negotiating with like 6 other groups as well, so know that the calendar is restricted in some ways too, so just keep that in mind.
Was there a certain day of the week that people wanted to?
Thursdays are better.
I think we try to stay away from Wednesdays because that's when school committee meets. Tuesdays tend to be faculty and meetings for teachers. So this was a really tricky day for us to meet. So if we could stay, I guess, away from Tuesdays and Wednesdays for starters.
Thursdays are often good.
Well, Thursdays for the next month and a half or so isn't going to work for Teresa and I, as we are teaching a mentoring course starting
What
next week.
time?
What time is your
time?
course? Rich?
Actually, let's
3:30
see,
to 5:30.
yeah, 3:30 to 5:30.
Wait, sorry, just say that again?
3:30 to 5:30, so it would have to be, after 5:30, preferably after 6 or so to give the two of us a chance to get home.
So like a 7 to 9 perhaps.
Yeah.
What about Mondays?
Those look good for me.
Mondays are my best day, but I can work with our team.
Do we dare start with Monday, the 27th of September?
So we have bus monitors that day from 5:30 to 7:30. Well, 4:30 to 7:30, actually.
Then what about September? Oh, you can't do Thursdays, right? Okay.
Or, well, if you looked at Thursday, the 23rd, something at 7 PM, Thursday, September 23rd.
So we have nurses from 4:30 to 7:30.
We have Meet the Teacher Night on the 23rd.
And we have Meet the Teacher Night at O'Malley on the 30th.
How about Monday, October 4th?
I'm open. The whole day.
Looks good.
So I'm not available, but I can pass that, I'm away. So
What time?
Well, what time?
I can do anytime the team can do.
I could meet as early as 4 o'clock. Is that too early, team?
Not for me.
Would a 4 to 6 work on Monday, October 4th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, 4 to 6 for us. Can you get that? Monday, October 4th, 4 to 6.
Should we pick a second date just in case?
Absolutely. I think we should do.
Yes,
two more
please.
dates.
When does the mentoring course end? Like, is October 14th open for Teresa and Rich? It's a Thursday.
I believe it's November 4th. I'd have to take a look at the dates, but I think it's November 4th
It
is our
is.
last one, yeah.
It is. November 4th is our last one, but the November 11th is Veterans Day.
Right.
So
What if we did a 7 to 9 on the 14th?
what time?
Wait, which month?
if we're on October 14th, Thursday, October 14th, 7 to 9,
Or how about Monday, the 18th?
and I have any time available for that.
I can do Monday, 18th.
What
Okay.
time would work for you folks, Melissa?
Well, who's gonna tell my husband, because that's his birthday? I'm open to the idea. I just want to know who's gonna tell him.
Jonathan?
Surprise him a day early.
Yeah,
Well, if we did 4 to 6, he's got you.
so I work till 4:30. It's okay, because he'll enjoy time away from me too. It's okay.
5 to 7? 5 to 7?
I get out of work at 4:30, so I need at least that time, you know what I mean? I just can't meet earlier, so whatever you think.
5 to 7.
5 to 7? How about 5 to 7? That's Monday, the 18th?
5 to 7 PM? That gives you enough time, Melissa?
Well, who's calling Jay?
I'm gonna tell your stepdaughter Vanessa and she can tell him for us. How's that?
Okay. You know, it's good, because if we had picked the 14th, that's her birthday, so she'll be happy.
We can't do it on the 14th.
Right, so
Let's do one more.
November 1st, November Sorry, Rich, you said your last class is the 4th or the first open Thursday is the 4th?
Well, both pretty much. It's the last class for the mentoring program.
So what about Monday, November 8th at 5 to 7?
That works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Ruth?
Well, so we would be 4:30?
Yeah, we have 4:30.
All right, so we're gonna get out.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No,
What-
that's-
November 8th is a Monday, 5 to 7 PM.
Good for me.
So if it's all right for me to recap, we're looking
please.
at Monday, October 4th, 4 to 6 PM. Jay's birthday, Monday, October 18th, 5 to 7 PM. And lastly, Monday, November 8th, 5 to 7 PM.
Ben, none of those dates conflict with parent conferences, do they? I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it's around.
Ruth, I appreciate the confidence you have in me and thinking I know that.
I don't know it offhand.
I
The
have-
elementary conferences are on Thursdays, so the Mondays are clear.
So elementary on Thursdays. Thank you, Talina.
Middle school's good.
Well, tell you what, if we find out that there's a parent conference or some kind of school conflict, maybe we could reschedule one of these if necessary.
Great, we have 3. That's great. Thank you, Rachel. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very
Have a
much.
Good night, folks.
Thank
All
you.
okay.
was
Any committee members, you got a link in today for a debrief meeting. We will see you there in just a moment. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Nice to meet you all, Gloucester.